The title is, as you can see, is Building a Sabot Dinghy at Hollyburn Sailing Club in 1993, which was quite a while ago. So I'll tell you a bit about the sailing club. It was founded in 1964, initially a Sabot Dinghy club, and the main objective was to train children on the North Shore in seamanship. It continues to have an excellent Learn to Sail program in July and August, and a very successful racing program all year. Our current Commodore is Matt Humer, and Matt's grandfather, Werner Humer, was Commodore in 1974. And we have Werner in the audience. Very glad to see you. Now over here I found this photo at the sailing club. It's a picture of, it looks like a Sabot regatta. In 1970 that was taken. There were 141 Sabots in the sailing club, most of them built by members. Now there are 0. Well, mine is in my tool shed. So Sabot is French for wooden shoe or clog, and that's the insignia on the Sabot sails. It's 8 feet long, 44 inches at the beam, and it weighs 75 pounds. And it's made of 1/4-inch plywood, or maybe even 1/8-inch plywood. But if you go to millimeters, I forget what that is, but it's thin. And it's a pram meaning it has, instead of a pointed bow, it has a flat bow, a transom. So there's a transom at the bow and a transom at the stern. So in 1993, 4 of us decided to each build a Sabot in the workshop at the clubhouse. So Ann Baird, who was a past Commodore, said, "Why don't you join us? We're all going to build a Sabot." And I said, "Well, I already have a dinghy." And she said, "Well, you can never have too many dinghies." And I said, "All right, I will." So I did. And this is how it happened. So to build a Sabot, at first I thought, I don't think I can build a sailboat. But then when I got into it, I thought, well, it's not that much different from making a dress, because you have a pattern, you put the pattern on the material, and then you cut it out. Well, for the Sabot, we had a pattern, we put it on the plywood, traced around it, and then sawed it out with a very dangerous saw, but anyway. And so you start with 2 sheets of plywood, 4 feet by 8 feet. So then you cut out the 2 pieces on the bottom, and then there's a piece on either side, and then you can see where the transom part would go at the bow, and then there's a transom at the stern. So here's a question for you. I had to cover the jig with wax paper before I started. So why do you think I had to cover it with wax paper? Mike?
So that the glue wouldn't stick to the form.
That's right. Because, like turning a cake out of a pan, if you don't put enough butter on the inside of the pan, the cake's going to stick. Same with this. You have to cover it with wax paper to keep the glue off. Because you don't want that in your boat, because someone else is going to be using it. So now, this is what it looks like. So I've got the pieces all on, glued together, and then to keep them from sliding apart, you put in long nails. You only put them halfway in, and it's like pinning a pattern to a material. You just put them into the jig. And then you can see where I put fiberglass tape around the seams. Then the acid test is, will it come off? So you get someone to help you, and I took one end, they took the other end, and you lift, and it came off. And then the work begins. Now we're in Ann Baird's basement, and I'm filling the seams with epoxy and a filler, which is fairly toxic, which is why I'm wearing that mask. And I think it must have turned my hair white, because it used to be brown. So then, this is when the work starts. Here we're back at the sailing club, and I'm putting the gunnels on the top edges of the boat. And you can see I have clamps about every 12 inches. And again, wax paper, because you don't want the clamps to glue to the boat. So what I did was I measured an inch down from the raw edge, and I thought I'll put the gunnels right below the pencil line and glue. So I did that. It took many hours. Then I went home, went to bed, and I woke up with a bang, and I thought, I've made a mistake. On one side, I put the gunnel above the line. On the other side, I put it below. And there was absolutely nothing I could do because it was glued on. So this boat has one side shorter than the other. But it doesn't seem to make any difference. Okay. And you can see the wax paper on the clamps. All right, and then this is my son's bedroom, and I'm varnishing it. And in case you're interested, that photo is Judas Priest. That's the name of a terrible band. And those pieces of paper up there, he went to Sentinel, and if you're bad or particularly good, you got what they called an interim report. But the kids all thought it was an interim. Oh, I got an interim. Well, those are his interims. And he was so proud of them, and he pinned them up. They were all very bad. So there it is, finished. It was beautiful. And after the launch, we had a quick race, and there was a bit of wind, so the boat heeled over slightly. And you're sitting on, there are no thwarts in that boat. You sit right on the floor, and the boat went like this, and I just slid across, up the side, and into the water. So then I had to go and buy those sticky things that you put on the bathtub so you don't slip. Then we had the launch, and this is Anne Baird, the past Commodore, dressed as Neptune, and Neptune was blessing all the boats. And there it is, finished, and I'm ready to launch. Yeah. And I tell you, I haven't been that nervous since my wedding day because I just didn't know if it was going to float. I hadn't tried it out. Oh, yes, and here's question number 2. What do you think I called my boat? Yeah, that'd be good. No, I called it Noah's Ark. And there, so on launch day, not only was it the 4 boats that were built over that past year, all the Sabots took part in this ceremony. So there we all are lined up, ready to go. And you'll notice in the background there's Ambleside Pier, and there are 2 members of Hollyburn. They've been members for years. They've since both died, Bob Huff and Hugh Johnson, thank you very much. And they were great Sabot sailors. They each built one. And Hugh said to me, if you watch where as soon as the water hits the crossbars of the pier, you can sail underneath. You won't hit the bottom, and the mast won't hit underneath the pier. So I thought, well, that sounds like fun. So the 3 of us went out, and the fishermen are watching us coming closer and closer, and we go right under the pier. It was fun. Here we are coming ashore, and then we had a huge party. And my mother came, and she brought 6 bottles of champagne, which I thought was very nice of her. So, oh yeah, so I did say that there are no more Sabots left. I think I did. Anyway, yes, I mentioned my mother, so I thought I better stick this in. Here she is at Stearman Beach, about 1925. She's the one on the left. No, we drank it all. So I still have my Sabot, but it's in my tool shed. And that's the end.
uh,